There's a set of rules at your job that nobody wrote down. Nobody trained you on. Nobody will tell you when you're breaking. I spent 40 years watching careers stall on those rules. Now, here are the 5 rules that cost people the most. And the frustrating part about it is most of these have very little to do with whether or not you're good at your job. You can be smart, you can work hard, you can hit every deadline and still look around 5 years later and wonder why somebody with less experience, less technical ability, or frankly, less effort seems to be moving faster than you are. Usually it's because they're playing by rules you didn't even know existed. So we're going to make them visible. Rule 1, your job description is the floor, not the ceiling. Now, this first unwritten rule, it's kind of interesting. A lot of good employees make this mistake. They think, I'm doing everything they hired me to do, and I'm doing it well. Why am I not getting promoted? Because you're doing exactly what you were hired to do, and it proves you can handle the job you already have. It doesn't automatically prove that you're ready for the next one. Now, that's a very different question. If you're an analyst and you produce excellent analysis, that's good. But the person who starts noticing patterns, anticipating what leadership will ask next, helping newer analysts and turning the analysis into a recommendation, that's the person who begins to look like they're already operating one level higher. And this has nothing to do with you having to work an 80-hour week. It doesn't mean volunteering for every miserable assignment. It means understanding what creates leverage. Ask yourself, what problem does my manager keep dealing with that I could help solve? What does the person one level above me do that I could begin practicing now? What can I take ownership of without waiting to be told? Promotions usually happen when people can already picture you doing the next job. So don't just ask, am I doing my job? Ask, am I giving people evidence that I can do more than my job? That's the difference. Rule 2, reputation forms fast and changes slow. Reputation forms in about 90 days and it can take years to change. People decide who you are very quickly. You're reliable, you're difficult, you're sharp, you're disorganized, you're calm under pressure, you're political, you're a problem solver. And once people form that picture, they start interpreting everything you do through it. If they think you're reliable and you miss one deadline, they say, something must have happened. If they think you're unreliable and you hit 10 deadlines in a row, they say, good, maybe they're improving. Same performance, different reputation. That's why your first few months in a role matters so much. Early on, people are looking for signals. Do you follow through? Do you show up prepared? Do you complain? Do you take feedback well? Do you create work for other people, or do you make their lives easier? You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to be intentional. And if you already have your reputation you don't like, understand this. You cannot talk your way out of it. You have to behave your way out of it consistently and for longer that feels fair. If people see you as disorganized, one beautifully organized week is not going to fix it. You may need 6 months of being the most prepared person in the room. That's just how reputations work. They form from moments and may change through patterns. Rule 3, who you eat lunch with is a career decision. Now, I'm not saying you should choose your friends based on their job titles. That's absolutely miserable. What I'm saying is that proximity determines opportunity. The people you spend time around shape what you hear about. Projects, openings, leadership changes, problems nobody solved yet, new teams that are being formed, and perhaps most importantly, they shape who thinks of you when an opportunity appears. A lot of career opportunities do not begin with a formal job posting. They begin with a conversation. We need somebody who understands this. Well, what about Sarah? Actually, Sarah would be great. And Sarah may never know that conversation ever happened. That's why relationships matter. Not networking in the fake sense, not collecting business cards, not sending 50 strangers messages saying, I'd love to pick your brain. I'm talking about genuine professional relationships across your organization. Know people outside of your immediate team. Have coffee with somebody in finance. Sit with someone from operations. Ask the senior person who knows the business very well how they got there. Talk to new employees that everybody else ignores. They know stuff too. Over time, you start developing something very valuable: context. You understand how the organization actually works, not just how the organization says it works. An opportunity tends to travel through relationships before it travels through systems. So, yes, who you eat lunch with matters. Rule number 4, nobody is managing your career but you. Your manager may care about you. They may mentor you. They may advocate for you. They may be the best boss you've ever had, but their primary responsibility is still managing the deliverables for the team. Your career is one of the many things on their plate, but for you, it's the whole plate. I've watched people wait for a manager to finally notice they were ready for more. Don't do that. Have the conversation. Ask what the next level requires. Ask where your gaps are. Ask what experience you need, and then keep track of what you've accomplished. Because 6 months from now, your manager may not remember the project you rescued last Friday night. You will. Keep a simple record. The revenue that you helped generate, money that you saved, problems you solved, processes you improved, customers you retained, people you trained, projects you led, compliments from clients, anything that demonstrates your impact. You're not bragging, you are maintaining evidence. And every few months, zoom out and ask yourself, am I learning? Am I growing? Am I becoming more valuable? Am I building skills that travel with me? Or am I simply becoming efficient at the same job? Because there's a dangerous moment in a career when comfortable starts looking like progress, and they are not the same thing. Rule 5, the meeting after the meeting is the real meeting. The meeting after the meeting, and you've seen this before, 10 people sit in a conference room for an hour. Everybody nods. The decision sounds like it's settled. Then 3 people walk back down the hallway together and somebody says, are we really doing that? And suddenly the conversation continues. That's the meeting after the meeting. It's where people clarify what they really think. It's where reservations come out. It's where alliances form. It's where somebody says, I'll support it, but only if we change this, this, and that. And sometimes it's where the actual decision gets made. This is why simply being excellent during formal meetings isn't enough. You need relationships before and after the meeting. If you are proposing something important, don't wait until 2 p.m. Tuesday to discover what everybody thinks. Talk to them beforehand. Ask questions. Understand their objections. Find out who's concerned. Find out what would make the idea stronger. That isn't manipulation, it's preparation. The people who are consistently surprised in meetings are often the people who only participate in the formal meeting. Experienced operators understand that decisions have a life cycle. There's the conversation before the meeting, there's the meeting, and then there's the conversation after the meeting. And you need to understand all 3. None of these are fair. All of them are true. Your job isn't to like the rules, it's to know them before they cost you something. And once you understand them, work starts making a little more sense. You realize why the hardest worker is not always the person who gets promoted, and why reputation matters as much as performance. Why relationships create opportunities that resumes never see. Why you have to take ownership of your own career, and why what happens outside the conference room can matter just as much as what happens inside of it. The good news is, every one of these rules can work in your favor once you know that they're there. You don't need to become political. You don't need to become fake. You don't need to become somebody that you're not. You just need to stop assuming that good work automatically speaks for itself. Sometimes it does. Very often, it needs a little help. If this was useful, hit subscribe and check out our video on the pie model. the simple framework that explains why performance alone is not enough to build a successful career. Once you see that model, a lot of things that you've watched happen at work will suddenly make sense.